You gotta click got it. I got it. And then click got it in that one. You're okay to swipe right? Not yet. When people enter, so when there's more than that. Yeah. You can start letting everybody in. Yeah. One more.
Hey, Jay.
Hey.
¿Cómo estás? Oíme, se me murieron las langostas, hermano.
What do you mean?
Sí, las acabo de comprar y cuando llegué aquí se me murieron. Les eché agua de la llave, la cagué, pues, pero bueno, ¿qué hago?
¿Las compraste hoy?
Sí.
Ah, no te preocupes.
Ah, bueno.
No te preocupes.
Listo.
Listo.
Ok. ¿Cómo van?
Bien, we're just letting people in right now.
Ok.
No tienes video.
Hello.
That's a private area.
Happy Saturday.
We got some celery. Hold on.
How is everyone doing today? No. We got Steve. We got Monique. We got Carlos.
Amazing. No,
You are not in video, Liliana.
I know. We don't know what happened.
What? This is like a glimpse of a different look. Steph and Steve in the same camera. All right. Hello. Happy Saturday. I hope everybody's doing well. That does not look like the Stavros's kitchen. Yeah. Look at that. It seems like the world is moving in a direction when some students will be cooking together this class. Hello, Liliana, Monique, we got the Moco. All right, so if you're just joining us now, welcome. And we're just gonna get 2 pots of water going. So we're gonna get one big pot, biggest that you have for the lobsters. And we're also going to have a smaller pot for the potatoes. So we'll just wait a couple more minutes before we get started, but I'm just gonna start cutting some potatoes in half. So if you wanna join me in doing that while everybody else gets here, we're just gonna cut the potatoes, mini potatoes in half. I'm gonna get these lobsters out of the way, and those are gonna start going into the water very soon. I'm just gonna move them out of the way for now. I don't know if you noticed, but we are in a different kitchen today. We are up north at a friend's cottage, and what a better way to be celebrating a beautiful weekend than with lobster rolls. So I'm just gonna get these little lobsters out of the way here. There's my cutting board. Clean up a bit. We're gonna start cutting some potatoes in half while the rest of the people join us. I know some of the ones that signed up are gonna do it on their own time. So I think we might just have a smaller group today. So welcome, nice to see everybody. Happy Saturday. We're gonna get some potatoes cut in half. So I got these multi-colored mini potatoes. We're just gonna give these a rinse and then start cutting them in half. Or if they're small enough, we could always just leave them as they are. These are all going to be for the potato salad. So I'm going to give. Hello, Lucas. Hello.
We kind of cheated. We got some steam, but we're going home right now.
I'm sorry?
We got the lobster steam from Lagos. We're coming
Oh,
back.
that's amazing. No worries. So keep that steamed lobster as you have it. And you can ignore the steps of me cooking the lobster. But at the very least, you could check out how the lobster is cooked, and maybe you could cook your own next time. So I've got some potatoes. So for those that are joining us, welcome. Happy Saturday. Nice to see you. We're going to start cutting some potatoes in half. And we're just going to get 2 pots of boiling water, salted boiling water. So I have a smaller pot for the potatoes, and I have a bigger pot for the lobsters. So for the lobsters, you really want the biggest possible pot that you can find because we want them to be there in plenty of water. If for some reason your lobsters do not fit in that pot, we can always cook them in batches. So a lobster actually takes 7 minutes to cook. So we got plenty of time to maybe dunk them in the water in batches. So if your water is up to a boil and we want to get that step started, we're gonna I have plenty of lobsters here, so I'm gonna cook a couple of batches on my end. So for now, I'll give you maybe a couple more minutes for your waters to come up to a boil. I'll bring mine back up as well. And like I said, we're gonna get some potatoes cooking, and we're gonna get some lobster cooking. We are also going to render off some bacon. I'm gonna just put these potatoes aside. Feel free to continue cooking or cutting those potatoes, but we're also gonna render some bacon for that potato salad. So potato and bacon, intimate friends. I'm gonna get, doing a double batch, so I'm gonna get 8 pieces of bacon, but if you're doing a single batch, as per the recipe, we just need 4 slices of bacon cut into little pieces. So we're not gonna go too small with them. They are gonna shrink once we cook them. So I like to just cut it in half so it's easier to maneuver. If you wanna cut the bacon lengthwise, just to kind of cut that slice in 2, no problem. And then we could just start slicing them down. So if you were just joining us now, we have 2 pots of boiling water, one in a big pot for the lobster, another smaller pot for the potatoes. And I'm cutting some bacon into little pieces because we're gonna render that down. And by render, I mean just cook and crisp up and allow it to just, get rid of all those fats. And we're just gonna make some almost like bacon crumble here. So I got my pot, or sorry, my pan. I'm just gonna cook it on low. And we're just gonna let that bacon render out and get a little bit crispy. Just gonna finish cutting slices. And then we can forget about this cutting board. So that's a tip that I think I've given you guys before, which is always keep your station nice and clean. And if you're ever cutting, a protein or something that, you're gonna need to clean your cutting board, or I like to just put another cutting board, a much smaller one, do my cutting right there and then just get rid of it. That way I know that my main cutting board is good to be cutting veggies and any cooked product that we might be making. So I've got some bacon here rendering. You might notice that it's quite a bit on my end, and that's because I'm doing a double recipe. I'm just gonna clean my knife, and then I'll be right back cutting those potatoes with you. So today's potato salad, it's actually my friend Hunter's recipe. Hunter is a chef in PEI at the Table Studio, and they just cook with local ingredients, PEI ingredients, and the menu seems to be changing every day. This is one of his go-tos. And when I was thinking about the lobster rolls, I reached out to Hunter and I said, hey, PEI, you guys eat plenty of lobster rolls. What do you eat with lobster rolls? And he said potato salad. And I've got a confession. I'm actually not a huge fan of potato salad, mainly because I'm not a huge fan of mayo. So I'm gonna be making this potato salad, and I know my mom will absolutely love it because she loves potato salad. So we'll see what we get here. But That seems to be the perfect side. Rendering, and as soon as my pot for the lobster comes up to a boil, I'm gonna get my lobster in there. Now, cooking lobster is relatively simple. You want your water to be salty, so you want it to taste like the sea. So if you haven't salted your water yet, salt it almost like you were making pasta. That's just gonna impart a little bit of that salty water taste, or just season that lobster beautifully. They're very, very tender and sweet meat, but we do want to highlight that sweetness with some of that sodium. And lobsters, you could steam, you could boil. Luca said that they bought steamed lobsters. Steaming lobsters is probably maybe the best way to cook them, because it's hard to overcook it, or more difficult to overcook it when you're steaming it. But this method that we're going to be doing today is what I used to always do at restaurants and when we were having lobster week at the golf club. So we used to make a lot of lobsters when it was lobster week, and tried method, and it always works for me. So it's pretty much boiling water, salty like the sea. You dunk the lobster, you leave it for 7 minutes, and then you take it out to an ice bath. In the instructions, I mentioned that we need plenty of ice. And the reason why is because we want to stop that cooking process. And this is kind of something like the one we did, I believe, with the rapini. So when we blanched the rapini last week, we cooked it in that boiling water, but then we stopped the cooking process with an ice bath. And that's exactly what we want to do with the lobster. It doesn't matter if you're putting more than one lobster in the pot, the cooking time stays the same. And those 7 minutes are really just for pound and a half lobsters. So if you have a bigger lobster, you might want to adjust that cooking time, but that's a good rule of thumb to go with. So I'm just going to continue cutting all my potatoes. And one of my pots, or actually both pots, are already boiling. So I'm going to grab 2 of the lobsters, and in we go. So if you are dunking a lobster right now, I'll get a timer going, but we're going to put the 2 lobsters in the pot, and we're just going to let them swim in there. But you notice the color is pretty brown right when you're dunking them, and it's just going to start turning red as it cooks. That's kind of almost the same thing with shrimp. So we don't want to overwhelm the pot. So right now I see that maybe max 2 lobsters fit in the pot. So we're just going to get those going. I'll get a 7-minute timer, and then we could get them out of there in 7 minutes into an ice bath. So just off camera, I have a cooler with some ice water, so plenty of ice in there and some water. And that is the best way and the fastest way that you could cool something. We're rendering off some bacon for that potato salad. I cut mine pretty big, but if you like smaller pieces of bacon, you could always do that as well. I got my boiling water for my potatoes, so I've cut some, and I'm just gonna cut it a bit more, and then I'm gonna put those potatoes in the water. And as that lobster cooks, we're just gonna do some of the knife work for that potato salad and the lobster rolls. Just wanna make sure that they're fully submerged. You don't need to stir them at all, but just wanted to make sure they're submerged. I'm gonna just finish cutting these potatoes. And I mean, I have relatively small potatoes here. So if they're this big, you could just add them whole, but there's some that are a little bit bigger. I like to just slice them in half. And you're thinking, kind of that chunky potato salad, bite-sized pieces. That's exactly what you're going for. I hope your weekend is going well. You see everybody hustling in the kitchen, feeling the heat, ready to have a delicious snack for this afternoon. And I mean, I don't suspect you'll have any lobster salad left from the rolls, but if for some reason you do, it holds pretty fine in the fridge for the next day. But I can guarantee, instead of saving some lobster, we'll probably head out to the store and buy some more buns because you're gonna want to eat them all. Just gonna finish cutting these potatoes. And I'm gonna throw them in that water as well. And we're gonna cook these until they're cooked. So we want them to still hold their shape. We're not gonna make mashed potatoes here, but we do want them nice and cooked. So I'm gonna give those a bit of a stir. We got some of my bacon, so don't forget to stir it, because as it renders down that fat, it's gonna start just frying up beautifully. And we just wanna cook it nice and slow. That's gonna go in that potato salad. So we're gonna get two separate bowls here. We're gonna get one bowl for the potato salad, and we're gonna put all the ingredients in there, because as soon as those potatoes are cooked, we're gonna throw them in there with those ingredients. And I'm also going to create another bowl, and that's gonna be for the lobster rolls. So we're gonna cook those potatoes. We're gonna get the ingredients for the potato salad. That way, as soon as they're done, we throw them in the bowl. And we're also gonna make all the other toppings for that potato, or for the lobster roll, in a smaller bowl. So before I do that and get cutting, I want to make sure and stir those potatoes a little bit, stir that bacon, just make sure that it's crisping up nicely. Just gonna let that go a little bit longer. And we're gonna get those lobsters moving as well. And again, we just want to make sure that they're fully submerged. Okay. So we got red onion, we got gherkins, we got green onion, we got celery. We have some lemons, some parsley, and some fresh herbs. You'll notice that some, or if not all actually, of the ingredients, there's a nice crossover between how we're seasoning and the ingredients that we're adding to our potato salad and our lobster roll. So we've seen that when we've made Mexican food, you know, that cilantro, all those ingredients that kind of cross over from one to the other. And that's a good way to kind of use any fresh herbs that you might have bought for the weekend. You know, you could just start adding them to whatever it is you're making, especially if you're eating them together, because those aromas and those flavors are really, really just going to thrive and just come together and make it a really cohesive meal. So we're going to start cutting some of the ingredients here for the potato salad and the lobster rolls. So for the, let's do potato salad first. So we're going to get the potatoes, we're going to get a red onion. We're just going to dice it. So we've diced the onion before, but for those that haven't diced an onion with us before, I just cut off the tip. And then I'm leaving the root end intact. So I cut the tip of the onion, leave the root end intact. I am going to cut this in half through the root, going down. Then it gives me 2 half onion. I'm only going to use a half, so I'm going to peel it while still leaving that root end intact. I'm also listening to what's happening in the kitchen now. So I hear the bacon getting a little bit excited. I'm getting a little bit excited with it. I'm going to give that a bit of a stir. Starting to spit off some oil, so nice and careful. Just want to give that a stir. Maybe just turn it down on low a little bit more, so that it just keeps on rendering and cooking in that fat, but not splattering too much. I'm going to give those potatoes a bit of a stir, and just keep in mind the potatoes are small enough that they're going to cook relatively fast. And I'm also going to be checking my timer, because I feel that 7 minutes are almost up. So we're 1 minute away from taking out the first batch of lobsters. And if you haven't dunked your lobsters yet, I'm going to do another dunk soon after this. As soon as we're done cooking that lobster, so the 7 minute mark, we're going to throw them in an ice bath. What does an ice bath mean? A big bowl, a big cooler, a lot of ice, a lot of water, and just nice and cool, because we want to stop that cooking process and leave that lobster meat nice and tender and not overcooked. So in 1 minute, I'm going to do that. But for now, we got 40 seconds to dice an onion. So leaving the root end intact, I'm just going to start cutting some lines into my onion. And I'm going to just use that root end to keep everything tight. So I'm left with an onion pretty much sliced all the way down with the root end intact. I'm gonna rotate that, and I'm just gonna start cutting down small dice of onion. It's a perfect way to just get beautiful knife cuts and just help that root work for you. That is my 7-minute timer. I'm gonna stop that, I'm gonna stop everything that I'm doing. I'm gonna grab my big cooler of water here, just slightly off camera, a lot of ice water. And I'm gonna grab my lobsters and I'm gonna just dunk them right into that cooler with water. So, whoa, that's a splash. We got Sebastian here. He's gorgeous. Look at that color. That's exactly what we're going for. We're just gonna stop that cooking process in the ice bath. Aha. Sorry about that. There we go. That was slightly messy. My apologies. Just gonna clean that up a little bit. And those lobsters, just gonna move them around a little bit, just make sure they're in that water nicely. I'm just gonna move this off to the side and just clean up a bit of that spill. Okay, perfect. So we are back to our boiling pots of water. So just gonna stir those potatoes, gonna stir that bacon, and our lobster pot should be on a rolling boil. So we want to keep it on high because as soon as we put lobster in there, temperature of the water is going to come down. So we just want to bring that right back up to a boil. And we're going to continue cooking our lobsters. So I'm doing a double batch today, so that's why I have so many lobsters here. But if you haven't dunked your lobster, we're going to go for another 7-minute swim right now. And I'm going to just get 2 more in there. This one is not happy. Thank you, little buddy. We'll make sure to honor you a delicious meal. And those are swimming. Our bacon is nice and crispy. Our potatoes are cooking. And I'm just gonna turn down my pot of boiling water for those potatoes. We don't wanna be too aggressive there. Back to our knife cuts. So I'm gonna do another 7-minute timer. So if you haven't dropped your lobsters and you wanna cook them with me right now, I just dunked them and I'm gonna start a 7-minute timer. I've got my red onion, and the red onion is gonna be for that potato salad. So remember how we talked about 2 different bowls? I'm gonna grab my potato salad bowl. I'm gonna throw that red onion, and I cut just half of a red onion. Just gonna add that to my potato salad bowl. So you want a bowl big enough so that when you're done cooking those potatoes, they fit right in there. Okay, we're also gonna get some gherkins. So gherkins we're gonna chop for both the lobster roll and the potato salad. You could use little sweet pickles if you like. I like gherkins. They're just nice, crunchy, and you got that little tart, sweet pickle taste. I'm also just gonna make sure that everything that I got on the stove is on track. So just continue stirring that bacon. We're nice and crispy, almost there. Still got a couple of pieces that are not completely crispy. And we got our potatoes still a bit hard. Okay, so for gherkins, I believe we are doing 1/4 cup for the potato salad. And we're gonna be doing 2 tablespoons for the lobster rolls. So I'm gonna call it at least 15 gherkins. We're just gonna dice them really fine. Just keeping in mind kind of that size of those red onions. So good way to do it. I just like to cut them lengthwise in half, cut that one again in half. And just like when we've brunoised or finely diced any vegetable, gonna arrange them like little soldiers, work in batches, and then we're gonna just give them a fine dice. So I'm gonna just do probably 15 gherkins. And once we have them nice and diced, we're just gonna distribute them between the bowl for the potato salad and the lobster bowls. If you ever want to go the extra mile, you could always make your own mayo for lobster rolls, maybe add a little bit more lemon to that mayo, little hints of citrus, really just make those lobster rolls pop. And if you've been in our classes before, you know that we love citrus around here. So I got plenty of lemon for today's rolls. And I hear that bacon saying, I'm almost ready. So I got a bunch of little gherkins ready to be diced. I'll just do 2 more. And then I could always add some more later. So let's just do these. Adjust. I don't know about you, but midsummer and 2 pots of boiling water, I'm feeling the heat. So that bacon is almost there.
Taco,
Yeah.
are you cutting the pickles in half?
So I cut them actually so lengthwise in half and then half again, so that I'm left with kind of a half pickle cut into 2.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to line them up, and then we're just going to dice them. So fine dice. I'm just going to grab those little lengths of the pickles, and we're just going to chop them up almost in that same shape as the onion. So we got our gherkins finely chopped, and we're going to distribute them between the potato salad and the lobster roll salad or salad bowl. So keep in mind, we got 2 bowls, one for the potato salad and one for the lobster roll. I'm going to continue cutting all those little gherkins, and that's why we were working in batches. So at first I did all my lengthwise cuts, and now I'm just going to come right back and just work in batches, cutting those little gherkins into fine dice. My bacon is saying I am ready, so I'm going to turn that off as soon as I'm done cutting these gherkins, and I'm just going to strain it and just lay it over a paper towel, and that's just going to help absorb some of that bacon fat. We don't want too much of that in the potato salad, except a little bit certainly does not hurt. I'm going to continue cutting these gherkins, almost done. And if you're still not happy and you feel like your gherkins a little bit big, mine are, you could always just hit it with another go of the knife. Just put your left hand on top of the knife, or your non-dominant hand, holding it down, and just go up and down with your knife hand. And that's just a good way to kind of just finish chopping something really finely. There you go. So I believe we are doing 2 tablespoons into the lobster salad. I'm going to get a big bowl here because I was not prepared with a bigger bowl for that lobster salad. So I got one over here. Let's not be tripping. So I have my potato salad bowl that I have the red onion that we just finely diced, and I have some gherkins. So for that potato salad, we are going to add 1/4 cup. So I'm just going to add 1/4 cup. And then I'm going to add, for now, 2 tablespoons to my lobster salad bowl. So we're going to say potato salad and lobster salad. I'm just going to add 2 tablespoons here, and I'm going to reserve any leftover gherkins just in case I need to add some more a little bit later. We've done the knife work for them, and it's nice to go a little bit extra. I know we're cooking for some people here that love pickles, so we could always even put them on the side for some topping. Just gonna get our cutting board back and clean. Give her a nice bit of a rinse. Okay, so we've got the gherkins out of the way. We got our bacon that I'm supposed to turn off. If yours is not crispy yet, feel free to just continue cooking it. Mine is nice and crispy, so that's gonna be off. We're gonna drain that a little bit. And that is my timer for the second set of 7 minutes. Last time I made a mess, so we're gonna try a kitchen spider and not the tongs, or maybe help the tong action with the kitchen spider. And sure not to burn ourselves like we did last time. That's a little bit better. We got big pink lobster. She's beautiful. We're gonna go right into that ice water and stop the cooking process. So we're just gonna finish doing all the knife cuts for the herbs, for the green onion, for the lemon, because as soon as we're done all those knife cuts, we are gonna go into lobster mode. And breaking up lobster is both a pleasure and a pain sometimes. It can get messy, but we're gonna get through it. If you haven't charred the corn, and I think that was the only thing that I did not mention at the beginning, I charred some corn ahead of time. So we have just some charred corn. I got 2 pieces because I'm doing a double batch. But if you haven't charred any corn, you have a barbecue around or just a pan with some hot oil, you could just give that corn a char while we continue cooking or cutting, doing all the knife cuts. So that was my second 7-minute timer, and I have one lonely lobster that I'm gonna just dunk to finish here. So if you haven't cooked your lobster, well, this is your chance to cook it with me. Same time, I'll let you know when those 7 minutes are up. Just make sure it's fully submerged here. This one's a bigger one. So we're gonna do 7-minute timer, and that should be your guide to cook a lobster. I'm gonna go back to the knife cuts here. So I got some celery that I'm gonna cut for the lobster rolls. So I got 2 pieces of celery here, and I'm gonna cut those, add them to the bowl, and see what the volume is. And if I need to cut more, I'll cut more. So I like to just cut them in half so they're manageable. And then I just do same thing. And you've noticed that this is kind of a constant, and you could really treat whatever shape of ingredient you're cutting or dicing in the same way. I'm gonna do lengthwise cuts. Just make sure that they're relatively small so that when I'm cutting the other way, I'm left with beautifully finely diced celery. And some people like to leave the celery out of their lobster rolls. I think it just adds a delicious crunch, and it really doesn't overshadow the lobster. But there are purists out there that say no to the celery and even no to the gherkins. If there's any bigger pieces of celery that you feel you could just cut in half once again, do that, because we do want that celery to be adding crunch but not overpowering any one bite. The idea is just to get a beautiful bite of lobster salad in that roll every single time. I haven't drained the bacon that I said I was going to drain, so let me do that and go back to those knife cuts. Got that here. And I'm just gonna come over the sink, just do that. So I got nice and crispy bits of bacon for that potato salad. Obviously try them, just for bacon bits, and you're a monster if you're not trying them, but you're looking for crispiness, and they're very hot. I'm gonna check on those potatoes. I'm gonna take one out. They're relatively small, so we don't want to overcook them. So take one out, try to cut it in half, see if there's any resistance. If there isn't, mine are beautifully cooked. This is the time to take them out. We're gonna take them out and we're gonna drain them in the sink. Vanessa's laughing at me because I just cut a potato and threw it out. But you know, we all crack under pressure sometimes. We're human. And that's the beauty of cooking, to be honest. You don't have to be perfect. More often than not, you could really save anything that you're doing. You feel like you're going in the wrong direction. You know, reset, gather yourself, and we're good. She's still shaking her head and laughing at me. So we're just gonna drain the potatoes and we're gonna just let them cool for a little bit. However, we do wanna make sure that we're adding them to the bowl with our toppings while they're still warm. Warm potatoes really just absorb any ingredient and anything that you're mixing them with. So we wanna make sure that we do that while they're warm. Back to our knife cuts. I got some celery that we're dicing. Just want to make sure that my 7-minute timer did start. And I'm going to work in batches here. I don't want to be a hero and just cut them all at the same time. And again, just finely diced celery. So I feel that you might be a little bit ahead on your knife cuts. So we got the red onion, we got the gherkins, we got celery. And if you're done the celery, you can start with some green onions. We're going to do the same thing that we've done in the past, which is just slice them finely, the white peas, the green peas, the whole green onion. We just remove the root and cut away. Just a fine slice. We're going to add the green onion to the lobster roast. I like to keep red onion out of there and just use something a little bit more subtle. We are also going to use chives, but I do like the oniony taste that those green onions add. So just a little bit of a bite. And again, we just want the lobster to shine. We don't want to overwhelm it with too many flavors. But texturally, you know, we talked about the celery and that crunch, those gherkins. So I got my bowl for the lobster. Is the one without the green onion, without the red onion, I mean. So we have celery and gherkins in one, and then gherkins and red onion in the potato one. So think red onion, potato salad. Celery, lobster salad. We are almost on our knife cuts. So we're gonna grab our chives, we're gonna grab our corn, we're gonna grab our celery, our dill, and our green onion. Finish all our knife cuts here. We'll make the dressing for the potato salad, and then we're ready to rumble. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna go to those green onions, and I'm gonna put, I think I put 2 or 3. I like to just kind of balance off the volume of the other ingredients. So I'm gonna do 4 for now. I think I put a half bunch. 4 for now, add them to the lobster salad bowl. See how it looks. If I feel like it needs a little bit more, I'll add a little bit more, but 4 green onions are pretty good starting point. And same thing, just gonna slice down, want to be more efficient, cut them in half. If you are done cooking your lobsters, what you can start doing is draining them from that ice bath. So, you know, the ice bath was there to just stop that cooking process. They've already done that. And now we just want to drain them. We don't want them to be too waterlogged by the time we put them on our cutting board to process. So you can drain your lobster from the ice bath. And those green onions are going to go in the bowl with the celery for the lobster salad. I'm also going to cut some herbs. So I got some chives, I've got some parsley, and I've got some dill. That is my last of my timers for the lobster. And that's my last lobster. I'm gonna get them here. Whoop. I'm too short for this pot. Into the water we go, stopping that cooking process. And now we can get rid of these boiling waters because we are certainly feeling the heat in here. Got my potatoes. Get rid of my lobster water. Move this out of the way. Okay, let's get these out of the way. All right, back to the knife cuts. So we got parsley, we got dill, we have chives. I'm gonna slice these nice and fine, just chopped herbs. like to just bunch up the parsley. This one, we could always go back over it with our knife. Parsley is pretty resilient. All we want to do is just give it a fine chop. I didn't use any of the big stems, but the smaller stems are okay. Just going to continue chopping that parsley. We do the same thing to the chives, and the same thing to the dill. We're also going to take the corn off the cob.
Sorry, Jay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we have parsley in our ingredient list.
Ah, I might have overshot it. That's okay. Well, I'm cutting some parsley. My apologies.
But we have dill.
Yeah, we certainly do. And we have chives. So, parsley me. We're going to go chives. Do we have fresh ramen noodles in our ingredients, Carlos? Or was that just you? We got our chives here. And the chives are just really going to add some beautiful color to that lobster salad for the rolls. Okay. We got this. And some dill. And we're also going to get that corn off the cob. Just as soon as I'm done doing that dill, we'll have pretty much done all our knife cuts. We could cut two lemons in half. And then our cutting board and our knife will go to the lobster. Okay, we got our chopped herbs. Okay, so taking a look back. So we're gonna add the dill. We're gonna add dill to both the lobster bowl and the potato salad bowl. We're gonna add chives to the lobster salad bowl, the one with the celery. We're gonna get our mayo out. We're gonna get our mustards. That's just gonna finish off that delicious seasoning. Gonna hit it with a little bit of the lemon juice. We're ready to roll. I'm just gonna make sure my cutting board as well is nice and clean. Just clear of any clutter, because we're gonna create our kill zone, which is gonna be our lobster central. And it's gonna get a little messy, so if you got a couple of extra kitchen towels, I definitely recommend you grab those. Last thing that I had to do was just get that corn off the cob. We just work our knife down. A serrated knife, like a bread knife, also works really well to just get that corn off the cob. I'm gonna add that to our potato salad bowl. We could also add our potatoes as well. And we're gonna build the dressing just right on top of it, one pot or one bowl meal. Just make it nice and easy. So I'm gonna get potato salad bowl. I have gherkins, I have red onions, I now have charred corn. I'm gonna add my bacon bits in there as well. We're gonna add some of that grainy mustard, grainy Dijon. Bacon bites, or bacon bits. Nice bacon. Oh, that looks delicious already. You don't even need potatoes in there. And we're gonna add our potatoes as well. I'm gonna build that dressing right on top of it. Remember, those potatoes are just gonna start absorbing all of that. I'm just gonna finish making sure my station is nice and clean. And you're also gonna look for your biggest knife. I like a chef's knife for this, just a big chef's knife for the lobster. Because we are gonna cut that tail right down the middle. And you are gonna want a relatively big knife. And I can show you how we do that. Just making sure my cutting board is nice and clean before we do that. And we're just gonna get that dressing for that potato salad before we get into the lobster. So I'm gonna just finish this with some of that grainy mustard that I talked about. Grainy, some Dijon for our lobster rolls. And there's 2 tablespoons for that grainy
Jay,
mustard.
couple of
Yeah.
questions. So the parsley is in the lobster.
Parsley, you could use them both. Yep.
Okay.
If you have the parsley, yes.
And did you put the zest?
Of the lemons?
Yes.
No, I did not. But you can zest the lemons as well. My apologies. That is a good point. So we're going to zest our lemons, and we're going to put that in the lobster salad bowl. So we want that zest to go into the lobster salad. But I just wanted to get those dressings going just because I added the potatoes to the bowl. So I kind of want those potatoes to start absorbing some of that.
Yeah.
And the zest of the lemon is going to go in the lobster salad bowl, but also in the potato salad if you'd like. I mean, zest goes a long way. It's delicious. And yeah, so sorry. We're going to go back to this potato salad because we definitely want to get that going. So 1/2 cup of mayonnaise, 2 tablespoons of the Dijon, and the juice of 1 lemon. Tablespoons, juice of 1 lemon, and the mayo.
Es que si me sale pepa.
And Carlos and Liliana, we can just hear you in the background.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I understand that you don't want any lemon seeds in your salad. And I lost my mayo. There it is. Cooking in a foreign kitchen is sometimes a challenge. Kind of like it. This is a beautiful kitchen at our friend's cottage. We had attended before COVID. And when I saw this kitchen, I just fell in love. And thinking back when we started doing these classes, I always wanted to do a class from here. So here we are cooking lobster rolls with friends. We're gonna get that Dijon, grainy Dijon, that mayo, that lemon juice. We got dill, we got the corn, we got the bacon bits, and that's taking quite the look. Potato salad, like some things, it's actually better the next day or after it's been sitting in the fridge for a little bit. So think ahead if you're ever recreating this recipe. I would make this ahead of time and just let it hang out in the fridge. Maybe if you're bringing it to a backyard barbecue, you can just bring it out, leave it room temperature. It eats really well. Just gonna season with some salt and pepper. And then we're gonna give it a taste. We're gonna come back to it in a little bit. Like I said, the more it sits, better it gets. And all those flavors really just come together. So we're gonna do some salt, some pepper. We have our bacon in there. We have our dill. We have the corn. Ooh, that was really good. The corn and that bacon really just take it to the next level. I did confess I was not a big fan of potato salad. I am a big fan of potato salad now. Thank you, Chef Hunter. You have turned one more. We got our lobster salad bowl, and we're gonna just finish getting all those ingredients there. So we have the celery, we have the dill, we have the chives, we have the green onion, we have some lemon zest. We're gonna do the juice, 1 lemon. We're gonna add some mayonnaise as well, 1/4 cup. we're gonna add 1.5 teaspoons of Dijon. And again, that lobster is really gonna be just the highlight of the whole meal. So we don't wanna overwhelm it. We certainly do wanna complement it with some of these flavors that we already have going on. This is a lot of lemon. I love it. But a couple of extra lemons just in case. You could always serve with some lemon wedges as garnish. I like to squeeze a bit more lemon on my lobster. So we got our bowl, last but not least. We had some mayo. And we're just gonna start just stirring this, and we're gonna just give it a taste. We're also gonna grab another bowl so that we can start breaking down our lobster. And as we break it down, we're not gonna put it in this bowl just yet. I'm gonna put it in a separate bowl because we wanna make sure that the ratio of lobster to everything else that's in the roll is right. So we do wanna add that gradually. So I'm gonna leave this bowl off to the side. I'm gonna grab another bowl so that we can start breaking up that lobster. But for now, we have the celery, the gherkins, the green onion, the dill, the chives, some lemon zest, a little bit of Dijon, some mayo, and the juice of 1 lemon. 1.5 teaspoons, a little bit of flavor. It's nice and watery. That lemon juice really thins out the mayo. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Getting everything ready because it's gonna get messy around here. It's gonna get messy. We got our lobsters. I'm gonna drain some of these over here in this pot. Lobster Central. I realized today we didn't cheers before starting this class. So to all those that are indulging in some beverages, adult or otherwise, make sure you stay hydrated in the kitchen. This is Lobster Rolls with Chef Jay. Okay, ready to get lobster in. We're gonna grab 1 kitchen rag. We're gonna grab our big knife. We're gonna grab a lobster. We got this big guy. We're gonna do certain steps here, and we're gonna need plenty of bowls because we do wanna work in batches and start working tight together. You're gonna get anything that might get splattered with lobster juice out of the way. So create a little bit of a Dexter style kill zone. We got kitchen rag, we got lobster, we got chef knife, we got a big bowl, and we got another bowl. First things first, lobster. I'm gonna break off the arms, twist and pull. Very easy, twist and pull. We're also going to get the tail. There is big body, and we got a lobster tail, twist and pull. We got lobster tail in bowl, claws in bowl, body. The body we're just gonna reserve for now. You could make a stock with it. For now, I'm just gonna put it off to the side. You can discard it, or you could just bring it up to a boil with some water and create a lobster stock. Again, we got lobster here. I'm gonna break off 1 arm, break off another arm, twist and pull. We got the tail, twist and pull, body, discard. I might do that with 3, and then we can proceed to the next step, and I'll break down the rest a little bit later. Twist and pull, body to the discard. And as you can see, cutting board is already getting quite wet, quite filthy. It's only gonna get worse. All right, so I'm gonna work with the claws first. We have 2 claws here. You're gonna remove the actual claw from the arm by twisting and pulling. You could actually use a rag. You don't wanna spike yourself. And we're breaking it down now. So we got the claw, and we got the arm now. claw, claw, twist, pull. We're just gonna arrange them like little soldiers. So we got the arm pieces, we got the claws, and really having a big cutting board or just a work area that you can organize things properly, just keep things tight. It does help a lot. It also helps working in batches. So, you know, you notice how I'm doing kind of each step of the way, and then I take all the steps to the end, and then I move on as a group. That also helps just keep everything arranged. So we have the claws, we have the arms, and we have the tails. So we're gonna work with the tails first. And we got lobster tail over here. Just gonna flatten it out. It has curled up because of the cooking process. Things tend to just tighten up and shrink a little bit. So we got lobster tail just straight out, round side up. We're gonna put our knife, just gonna put it with our hands. We're not gonna smash yet. And we're gonna just put our rag on the knife. We're gonna press down, effectively cutting that lobster tail in half. So be careful with your fingers. We're gonna use the rag on top of the knife so that we're not slipping, and our knife handle is protected, so no finger is touching the cutting board. Top, down. I'm gonna do the other one with you. Just to show you, you're pretty much left with 2 halves of a lobster tail. Make a little heart actually, pretty cute. Serve it for a Valentine's Day anniversary. It plates really nice. So once we got these 2 in half, I'll show you how to remove the meat. But let's do one again together. So we got the tail facing down, a little bit sideways, diagonal. We're gonna just place our knife without pressing just yet. Place our knife on the top. Rag so that we don't slip. And we're just gonna press down. We got a little bit of the rag caught there. Just gonna press down, effectively cutting the lobster tail into 2. I'm gonna do one more. Lobster tail, round side up. Just gonna place our knife there. We're gonna put our rag over it so we don't slip. We're gonna press. You press down, work it, you break through, and we have crushed that shell into 2. Moving on, so we have lobster tails cut in half. Now, you can just remove that meat from the shell. Really nice. It should come out very, very easy. This shell we could put in the bowl with a pot with the bodies, and we could always make a stock with it. And you have just a beautiful lobster tail. Just gonna make sure that we get any of that tamale out, which is just a little bit of that poo tract. Just want to clean that up a little bit. And we're just gonna put all the lobster meat after we've cleaned it without a shell in one bowl, because that's where we're gonna cut and chop it all up. So I have my 3 lobster tails, and again, just with our fingers, it pulls out relatively easy. Discard the shell, clean up that poo tract just a little bit with your fingers. You could always rinse it under a bit of water, but we don't want to overwhelm and add too much water to that lobster meat because it's already cooked in there. We don't want to waterlog it too much. So don't overwhelm it with water, but if you want to just clean it up a little bit, you could always just rinse it in some water. So those are the tails. I'll continue doing my tails a little bit later. For the claws, we have the big claw and we have the little claw. Got them right here. We're going to remove the elastics. And we're going to grab that little knuckle, that little finger, and we're going to break it off really, really nice. Just going to break it off by twisting. All those motions are just kind of twist motions. We're just going to crack that little finger. We're going to pull it out, and hopefully you'll leave that little finger intact. This is just a shell. We could discard it into that big bowl with the bodies and the shells of the tails. And we got the big claw. The big claw, we're gonna use our big knife, and we're just gonna hit it right at the tip just to break it off a little bit. So almost kind of where that little finger starts on the opposite side, we just wanna hit it with our knife. So let's hit and twist, hit and twist. And that kind of just breaks it off a little bit. So I've broken up that shell. And now what I'm gonna do is just kind of work it with my fingers just to break it off. So I'm just open my claw right here. Got a shards of shell, but we wanna make sure not to get it into the lobster meat. And we're just gonna pry away the beautiful claw meat from the claw. Having a bit of trouble here, but here we are. We got one intact claw into our bowl with the tails. So I'm actually going to put them out here so that you start seeing what I'm yielding from this whole experience. So we got lobster tails, and we got claws. So again, we're going to discard the shells into that other bowl, and back to the claw. We got the finger. We'll give it a little bit of twist and pull, and we have that little lobster meat still intact. We're going to grab our knife, and that big round piece, we're just going to crack it, twist, give it a crack. It should crack relatively easy. Be careful not to cut your fingers. We're going to break off the piece and remove that lobster claw. And we're pretty much going to do that to the rest of the lobster. So we've done the tails, we've done the claw now. The last thing that we got are the knuckles. And the knuckles, that's where that lobster fork comes in. Knuckles are really hard to get that lobster meat out of there. You've got to really just work it away. Maybe if you have a lobster cracker, you could break up those knuckles. I'm just going to finish getting this claw out. Giving me a bit of trouble. There you go. Pretty much just take a couple of hits at it, and it's going to crack completely. You're going to remove it fully. You're going to discard those claws, discard the shells, and going back to these knuckles. So I have these big, almost like kitchen shears, really nice kitchen scissors, but any other kitchen scissor really works. And you just want to kind of break up those knuckle pieces and just use a little fork or a tiny knife just to remove that from the inner piece. I got a little trident thing happening right now. So you pretty much just want to crack those shells and just work away some of that lobster meat. There isn't much, but we don't want to waste any of the lobster meat. It's beautiful, nice, tender meat. So just work your way through some scissors, kind of cracking them in half and just getting all that meat out of each knuckle. It might take some time, but I promise it's worth it. After we've broken up all our stuff, we're going to mix it and we're going to chop it first. So you're going to just put this aside for now. I'm just going to show you kind of how we're going to chop this up. That way you can kind of work at your own pace with however many lobsters you have. I'm just going to clean our station a little bit, the water from the lobsters, and get a little bit messy. We're going to grab the tails that we just got out of there. We're going to grab the claws. We're going to get some of that knuckle meat, and we're just going to chop it. You don't want to chop it too small. We definitely, like we said before, we want that lobster to just really shine. That's what the lobster is all about. So I like to leave it a little bit more chunky. Oftentimes when we're making something like this, I've said, keep everything the same size. You've cut the onion a certain size, the tomatoes, anything that you go in there, you want to keep it that same size. In this particular case, we actually just want the lobster to stand above all else. And we're just adding everything that we did for some texture and some flavor. So I like to keep my pieces relatively big. If you have not yet tried your lobster, you're missing out. Please try it. For my producer over here, and for my audience. So we're going to chop this up. When we're chopping the claws, keep in mind that there is going to be a little cartilage when you get in there. So if you just feel between those two little fingers, you'll detect a bit of a cartilage. So we are just going to break them apart with our hands because we do want to remove that little fin. So it's just a little cartilage that is inside the claw. So with our fingers, just kind of break it up a little bit. And it's usually found in the bigger claw. If the other side claw tends to sometimes not have it. And we're just going to continue chopping everything. So we're chopping the claws, we're chopping the knuckle meat, and we're chopping the tail meat. And we're going to start adding it to a bowl, which is really our second last bowl, because we just want to keep all that chopped up meat nice and intact in a clean bowl. So we're just going to start adding all the chopped up meat there, here. And I'm just going to continue working away at my lobster. I'm going to do 2 or 3 lobsters so that we're kind of at the same pace. I'll keep an eye on you guys and just give me a bit of a thumbs up if you're doing okay, if we're breaking up lobster here, if we're all together. If you need me to slow down, just let me know. But I'm just going to continue chopping up this lobster so that we can mix it in the salad together, toast our buns, and get ready to plate. If you do have available hands in the kitchen, give the potato salad a bit of a stir. You want to give it a stir, you want to give it a taste. If it needs a bit of salt and pepper, feel free to adjust some seasoning. But you do want to make sure that you give it a nice stir. Just let all those flavors work together. That corn, honestly, just takes this salad to the next level. We got a jumper and a potato in my mouth. Oh yeah. So I got my lobster tails done. I'm going to do a couple more claws. And you should also be processing your lobsters right now, getting close to the moment where we're going to mix it all together. We're also going to get some of that Boston bib lettuce. So Boston bib lettuce is a really, really delicate lettuce. And you guessed it, we want that lobster to shine. We just want to add a little bit of crunch, a bit of color. It looks really nice. Make sure you always keep your knife hand dry, especially when you're breaking up lobster. You don't want that knife to slip. You always want to have your knife hand should never really touch anything that you're cutting. It should always be nice and clean, nice and dry. So we did the tails. We're just going to crack the shells. So again, just hit it with your knife, twist, discard, and pull it out. Nice and intact. Discard the shell. Again, you got the claw. Just gonna hit it. Gonna hit it. And I hit it. It's cracked. Open. Pull out. Ooh, this one's staying in there. Perfect. We left a little bit behind here because we're chopping it up. I'm not too worried. So you could actually work a little bit faster and just pull it apart with your hands a little bit. But if you're ever just presenting lobster, kind of like a whole lobster, you do want to take your time getting that knuckle meat out and getting the claw. There it is. This is my last of the claws. All right, so I'm gonna finish chopping this up, and then we're ready to mix the salads and get our stuff going. So don't forget about that little cartilage piece. You don't want to cut that. You don't want to eat that. Just the cartilage piece in the bigger of the claws. And then that little one shouldn't have it. Sometimes they grow it there, but it should be okay. Just gonna give it a chop. Keeping it a little bit chunky. Oop. The claw meat. The tail meat. All right. So we've got our lobster meat nice and chopped. Notice the different textures too of the tail and the claw. Very, very interesting animal, to be honest. They're fascinating. Nice little creatures. Okay, so we have our lobster meat. I'm gonna get this cutting board out of the way so that we could just work a little bit cleaner. Okay, getting a rag. Just getting our station nice and clean so we could do some mixing. We'll get this out of the cutting board just in case we need anything. Okay. Nice to just kind of work clean and make sure that you're resetting and taking that 20 seconds to just reset your station after that lobster extravaganza. Okay, so we have our bowl for the lobster salad. We have our lobster meat. We have our potato salad. We have a wheat beer. And I find that wheat beer is actually my favorite to have with lobster rolls. We're gonna get just a small pan just to toast our buns a little bit. So I'm just gonna melt a little bit of butter and just have that butter melted. Just turn it off after it's melted. Just so that as soon as we're ready to plate, we can just give those buns a little bit of a toast. We're gonna get some potato chips for the garnish of the potato salad. And we got our bib lettuce. So I was talking about the bib lettuce just being a nice, delicate little lettuce, and it works great with these rolls. It does come alive like your lobster, so I like to just give it a rinse after I've taken them off, and just give them a dry with a paper towel. We don't want to have like wet lettuce going onto our rolls. So I'm just going to rip off a couple of pieces, get this bib out of the way, give it a bit of a rinse, and just a pat dry with a paper towel. The butter is melting. I can hear it. Nice. Just gonna turn off that that pan. That's all I wanted was just to melt the butter so that when we're ready to go, we are ready to go. We're gonna move this stuff out of the way. Okay, so drying our lettuce here, just making sure it's not too wet. We're going to add the lobster. So we're gonna have the lobster meat in one bowl. We're gonna add some of that mayo dressing with the celery, the dill, the gherkins. I'm gonna add a couple spoonfuls. I'm gonna go 4 big spoons for now. We're gonna stir it. We're just gonna see how it looks. What we're looking for is for lobster to still be at the center of it. We don't want it too mayo-y, too creamy. Just enhancing that lobster flavor, but we're just letting it be front and center. So just giving it a big stir. We're looking for something like this. I don't know if you see me there. Well, yeah. Okay. Give it a try. Right off the bat, the sweetness of the lobster, some of that crunch from the celery, the fresh herbs. I'm gonna add a little bit more lemon. I like it just a bit lemony. But always just, if you don't want to add too much lemon right now, you could always serve it with a lemon wedge. I find that that also works. Let's get a knife, clean knife. I'm just gonna hit it with a little bit more lemon just to brighten it up. In that melted butter, we're also going to start toasting some buns. So I like brioche buns for the lobster salad. I find that they're just really nice, creamy, fluffy. Hint of sweet. It's not too hard a bread, so we're not, having a hearty bread like we did last week for the porchetta. This time, we really just want something to just place that lobster really nicely. I'm gonna just toast 2 or 3. You can just toast as many buns as you're gonna eat. I'm just gonna toast a couple so that we could plate together, and then you can just continue
Hey,
plating.
I'm sorry.
Hi.
The butter, where we put the butter?
So the butter, we just have it on a pan, because we're gonna toast the buns on that butter. So that
Okay.
melted butter is gonna be to toast the buns.
Okay.
Okay. So we got that. I got my buns over here. We're gonna try that potato salad while we're toasting those buns. We're gonna adjust any seasoning if it needs. So I'm just gonna give this a stir. Get rid of this huge spoon. Give it a stir. Like I said, if you want to throw this in the fridge for a good half hour, it'll be even better then. Oh yeah. This is great. The screams East Coast. The corn is delicious. That char, you could really get that. The lemon comes through, the dill, the bacon, just the bacon. I'm gonna have the melted butter in the pan here. Just gonna put our buns on their sides. I'm just gonna give them a little bit of a toast. You'd always skip the step if if your buns are nice and soft and you don't feel like toasting them. You really don't want to change the texture, but we just want to kiss it with a little bit of butter. Lobster and butter go hand in hand. We have our lobster salad ready to stuff our buns. We have our potato salad ready to stuff our mouths. I'm gonna just get a little bowl for the salad or a plate for the salad. And I like to plate the salad or I like to plate salads with a bit of texture as a garnish. And when I was talking to Hunter this past week, and he was telling me a bit more about this recipe, he recommended just giving it a bit of a garnish with some potato chips. So goes a long way, really good. So I'm gonna put and start plating my potato salad on a big plate. And it's colorful, it's beautiful. It's a really nice side for these fresh potato rolls or fresh lobster rolls that we just made. Now you know how to break down a lobster. It's not as challenging as sometimes people feel. Pretty straightforward. Just remember, work clean, work in batches. And next time, date night, Valentine's Day, lobster dinner, surf and turf. It's all happening. I got my lettuce ready to stuff my buns. I was talking about the potato chips for the garnish of our potato salad. I like to just break them off a little bit. Just put them here and there. And a little garnish goes a long way. I've mentioned before, we eat with our eyes first. So we put a little graveyard of little potatoes. Not only will you wow your guests the second they eat the salad, the potato salad, but you're gonna wow your guests the second that comes to the table. Because who doesn't want a little graveyard of potato chips? So we have a beautiful potato salad. Chef Hunter, the PI, potato salad. Thank you for sharing your recipe with me and with my audience. We'll make sure to stay true to it and continue enjoying this delicious.
Taco. Okay. Taco.
Yeah.
What did you do with the lettuce?
With the lettuce, so I just washed it and dried it. So I have it just off here to the side. And it's just lined up nice and dry. So I've got my buns. They're top cut here. I'm just gonna put a little leaf of that lettuce inside the bun, making sure not to tear it apart. I'm just gonna stuff it with some of that lobster mix. We want plenty of lobster in there, but just want to make sure that that bun doesn't break off. So, you know, you're not in a rush here. We're almost at the finish line. Always lick your fingers if you get lobster salad on them. It's delicious. So again, just gonna open those little buns, kind of, you know, make the bed with a little lettuce. So just lay down that bottom sheet of lettuce and just start stuffing them with some of this lobster mix. Okay. We got one, we got two. Gonna go for a third. Anytime you're plating things, you're having company over, you want to plate in odd numbers. So for some reason, aesthetically, things look better on a plate when they're in odd numbers. So if you have 3 of something, if you have 4, try to get a 5th, or just leave off one to the side, maybe in the kitchen. Just give people an extra bite a bit later. But if you ever want to plate things, just try to do it in odd numbers. All right, so we have our potato salad, we have our lobster rolls. We are complete, ready to go into lobster heaven. So sorry I haven't engaged with you too much, but we have a different setup and I can't swing through my tablet as easy as I usually can. But just looking around the group here, I see Preeti smiling, I see Steve getting those buns ready. I see Lucas waving. I see Tomoko and I see Liliana sticking out her tongue at me. I love you too, Mom. So thank you for joining us. I'm here to answer any questions, but we're at the finish line. We have our potato salad. We have a delicious potato salad, might I add. Right here, but the camera is not good, so we go to this camera. Potato salad, garnished with some chips, and we have our lobster rolls. So just beautiful lobster roll. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you enjoy the rolls, enjoy the company, enjoy the sunshine, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Thank you, Jay. Love you.
Take care. Love you too.
Fun.
Enjoy. I can't wait to see it. Please take pictures, tag me on social media. Thumbs up.
Thank you,
Enjoy.
Jay.
Have a great weekend, everybody.